Sinners. Vampire movie. Directed by Ryan Coogler. Starring Michael B. Jordan as two twins. He plays both characters. If you want the synopsis for this, fucking Google it, like I always say. But it's a vampire movie. I would say, follow me on Letterboxd. I put my review on Letterboxd for this. This will be, ironically, based on what I just said, this will be a review that may spoil it. So if you haven't seen Sinners, stop listening now. I gave Sinners a 7 out of 10, right? And let me explain that 7 out of 10. Oh, getting something delivered. It's been delivered. Still been delivered. It's terrifying. Don't you think that's terrifying? You hear your letterbox rustle. It's like someone with their hands in your house. You just hand in your just like a big horror hand through the letterbox. Anyway, I wanted to like this film more, but I did like it a lot. 7 out of 10, 3.5 out of 5. Great rating. Okay. The downsides for me were there's quite a lot of setup. So this film sets up the kind of set piece, the central location of like a blues party, right? For about 40 minutes. And in the process of setting it up, it's kind of like a fucking Avengers Assemble. It's like they're off to get this particular singer. We're meeting this kind of past love, played by Haley Steinfeld. We're meeting another past love. It's kind of like gathering all these characters together in what felt like quite a laborious way. Was it necessary for the horror film side of it? No. Was it necessary for the story and the soul of the film? Yes, I'll give it that. Yes, it was. The soul of the film is about black culture and black music and the history of black music, right? And so the setup really spoke to that, meeting those characters, these different musicians, and what the music meant to the community. It also obviously set up the fact that there's a fucking nuts vampire running around, played by fucking what's his face, who is from Yorkshire, but he was doing a great. Oh, is he from Yorkshire? Anyway, fuck it. Google him. Anyway, then we get to this central set piece, and you know, throughout the promo for this film, which I have watched a bit of it, because like I was, you know, going back to this spoiler conversation, you know, I was excited for Sinners, but I didn't feel like I was like, it's not like a Oppenheimer situation where I'm like, God, I don't want to see anything about it. I just want to go in fresh, right? I even knew it was a vampire film a few months ago, and I said that to some Sony execs, get me, because I was at like a mingling, like networking event, and they were like, "Oh, I'm not sure if you're supposed to know that." And I was like, "I don't know how I know that. I think everyone knows that." Anyway, they didn't actually market the fact that it was a vampire film. So you get, but Ryan Coogler in his promo kept saying, "This is a horror film." He kept saying, "We're making a horror movie here." And so I was going into it with that in mind, for better or for worse. So you get to this central set piece, which is the party, and the horror rumblings start to begin. The vampire characters start to descend on this party. So then the horror begins, and I start to realize this movie is better as a kind of thriller, dramatic kind of depiction on the themes of black history, black culture, and black music than it is a horror film. Like, as a horror film, which Ryan Coogler himself said, I'm not putting words into his mouth, it's not scary enough. It is not scary enough. It's actually quite a curious film in terms of the horror. Like, the way they depict the vampires is actually quite jaunty at points, like doing little Irish jigs outside and shit. And like, there's nice little bits of comedy in there, and it's really entertaining. But if we're talking about it as a horror lover, it is not scary enough. And also the pacing. It felt like we had this big 40-minute build-up, like I say, which was important to the soul of the film. Then we get to the party, and it really kind of wallows in this party for quite a while before the horror even really is the centerpiece of the film. And there's this tremendous, transcendent sequence which depicts the history of black music all happening within this barn, within this party, where the camera is tracking round, and we'll see hip hop, R&B, like it's just I don't even want to try and describe it. It's a transcendent sequence that could be transplanted as like a exhibition in like a gallery. Like you would just watch it and it would be like, wow, this is an incredible feat, right? And this is plonked in the middle of a vampire movie. I'm not saying plonked as in it's not relevant. It's massively relevant, but it's taken to such lengths that it's like, okay, it's almost its own piece. It's like you people will be rewatching that on YouTube on its own for a long time because it discusses the themes in like an isolated way that you can like just pull it out and it still makes sense, right? And it's actually, and it's not, it doesn't move the story along. It just speaks to the themes, right? So that was transcendent, and that kind of is emblematic of like this film has like magnificent things in it, and that's all down to Ryan Coogler being a brilliant creative mind. And this is all an original film. It's original material, and in it there are magnificent things, ideas, and bits, and scenes, and moments. And I love that. And I love Ryan Coogler for taking such a big swing on an original idea and bringing so much quality to it. And I'm sure that whether or not the execs see it as a financial success, I think it could be a financial success, it is absolutely a creative success. Now, setting that aside, and I had a fucking brilliant time, by the way. That was a Friday night. Friday night at the movies. What more do you want? Setting that aside, is the pacing right? No. It does take a long time to set up, and it does take a long time to get to the full kind of balls to the wall horror action vampire. And then once it gets to that, it's like balls to the wall immediately. Like we get to Django Unchained levels of blood squirting immediately. And it's like, when you're thinking about the structure of horror movies and like, you know, Ryan Coogler's not a horror director, and I think you can really sense this because the ramping up of the action and tension is just not quite right, and also feels quite repetitive as well. So while we're ambling along all this setup, which, like I say, takes a good hour 20, for a 2-hour, 20-minute film, the setups and pieces of tension are quite repetitive. And I didn't realize this at the time, but that's due to the lore, as in LORE, of vampirism, right? I didn't know this, but apparently the lore of vampirism says that vampires have to be invited in before they can come in and do their worst. So I was watching this, and there was scene after scene after scene of like vampires coming to the door of this party, and we knew they're vampires, and to a certain extent the characters knew as well, being like, may I come in? I just want to like enjoy the party or whatever. And this happened like 3-4 times. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Anyway, more fool me, Ryan Coogler's sticking to the lore of vampires there, and fair enough. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter that that's the legacy of vampires. All that matters is, does it work in terms of the pacing of the film? And it doesn't. It does feel repetitive, and it does feel slow. And I'm kind of like, can you engineer a different way to drip feed these vampires more and more into this film? And it felt like, no, it felt like there was a real lull in that kind of midsection where I was like, oh, just fucking crack on with it. Like, and then my point is, once it did crack on with it, it was too much too soon. It was like, fucking hell, like it wasn't bloody 5 minutes ago. And then suddenly we're like, knee deep in blood, like the fucking lift scene from The Shining all of a sudden. And tonally that felt like too much of a switch. And then there's still these like bits of really nice comedy in there, but this all amounts to me saying, does it work entirely as a film and as a horror film? I don't think so. But did I have a good time? Fucking yes. And did Ryan Coogler get across the messages and themes he wanted to get across? Fucking yes. And so for that reason, it gets a 7. If it had worked better structurally as a film for me, it would have been higher. Or if the themes weren't communicated properly, would have been lower. But I think that's where it rests for me. So a great time at the movies, a big swing on original material by Ryan Coogler, which I love, and I hope that it's a success financially and culturally, so that he gets to do this again.